The throne chamber of the Eternal Crown was a marvel of engineering and artistry. Crystal columns stretched toward the vaulted ceiling, each one pulsing with soft blue light. The floor beneath was polished to mirror perfection, reflecting the grandeur above. At the center of this magnificent space sat Queen Miraval upon her throne, a structure carved from a single piece of starstone that had taken craftsmen 30 years to complete. The queen herself was striking to behold. Her skin resembled living crystal, shifting through shades of deep purple and silver as her thoughts moved from one subject to another. She stood nearly 8 feet tall when she rose, which she did now as the human delegation entered her presence. 2 centuries of rule had made her confident, perhaps overly so. She had seen countless species kneel before this throne, seeking entry into the Galactic Coalition. Most were worthy. Some were not. Ambassador G1 led the human delegation across the vast chamber. She walked with measured steps, her black diplomatic uniform crisp and formal. Behind her came 5 security officers, including Taemin, whose eyes constantly scanned the room despite the ceremonial nature of this meeting. The humans looked small in this space, designed to inspire awe in visitors. They looked small next to the Velthara guards who lined the walls, each one 7 feet tall and armored in suits that gleamed like liquid metal. "Your Majesty," G1 said, bowing respectfully but not deeply. Earth had agreed to show respect but not subservience. "Humanity thanks you for this audience. We come seeking friendship and partnership among the stars." Queen Miraval's skin flickered orange briefly, a sign of amusement among her people. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We have reviewed your petition for membership in the Galactic Coalition. Your species has achieved faster than light travel remarkably quickly, considering your recent emergence into space. Thank you, Your Majesty. We are eager learners." The Queen descended from her throne, her movements fluid and graceful. She approached Eve1, studying the human woman with eyes that had no pupils, only shifting colors like oil on water. "Tell me, Ambassador, what can humanity offer the Coalition? What makes your species worthy of standing beside civilizations that have traveled the stars for millennia?" G1 had prepared for this question. "We bring fresh perspectives, adaptability, and determination. We have overcome countless challenges on our homeworld. We believe these qualities will serve the Coalition well." A voice spoke from the shadows beside the throne. Soft words from a soft species. The speaker emerged into the light, a tall Velthar male with skin that glowed deep red. This was Commander Yulker, the Queen's military advisor. "Your species has no natural defenses. No armor plating like the Karathi. No enhanced strength like the Drovan. No telepathic abilities like the Mindari. You are fragile creatures from a gentle world." Taemin's jaw tightened, but he remained silent. His training held firm. Queen Miraval raised a hand, and Yulker fell silent. "My advisor speaks bluntly, but his concerns are valid. The Coalition faces many threats. We need members who can defend themselves and others. Your physical specifications suggest vulnerability." G1 maintained her composure. "Humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars that spanned our entire planet. We do not have natural armor, this is true. But we have survived and thrived nonetheless. Survival on a single planet is one matter," the Queen replied. "The galaxy is far more dangerous. We have reviewed your military capabilities. They are, to be frank, primitive by Coalition standards. Your weapons are chemical-based projectile systems. Your ships lack energy shielding beyond basic deflector screens. Your soldiers, while disciplined, are physically inferior to most species we encounter." The Queen's skin had shifted to a pale blue, the color of certainty among her people. She had made her decision. "I will grant humanity observer status within the Coalition. You may attend council meetings and learn from us. But full membership, with voting rights and defense packs, cannot be extended at this time. You are simply too vulnerable, too weak to contribute meaningfully to our mutual defense." The words hung in the air like a blade. Ji-woon's face remained neutral, but everyone in the room understood what had just happened. Humanity had been judged and found wanting. "We appreciate your consideration, Your Majesty," Ji-won said carefully. "Though we hoped for a different outcome, we will accept observer status and work to prove our worth." "A wise response," Queen Niraval replied. "Perhaps in time, when your species has developed further, we can revisit this matter. For now, you are welcome to establish an embassy on Coalition Station 7. My staff will provide you with all necessary documentation." The meeting was ending. Ji-won bowed again and turned to leave. Her security team fell in around her, maintaining their professional bearing despite the insult they had all just witnessed. Tae-min was the last to turn away from the throne, his eyes meeting the Queen's for just a moment. She saw no anger there, no resentment. Only quiet determination. As the humans walked back across the vast chamber, Commander Yalker approached the Queen. "You were generous, Your Majesty. Observer status is more than they deserve." "Perhaps," the Queen said softly. "But they achieved FTL travel on their own, without guidance from elder species. That deserves some recognition. Still, they are too weak for full membership. The galaxy would eat them alive. They will learn that lesson soon enough." Yalker agreed. The human delegation reached the massive doors that led out of the throne chamber. The doors began to open, and Ji-won was mentally preparing her report to Earth when the sound came. It was a deep, resonating alarm that made the crystal columns vibrate. Red light flooded the chamber, replacing the soft blue. Queen Niraval's skin flashed bright orange, then red. "What is happening?" A holographic display materialized before her throne. One of her ship captains appeared, his crystalline face showing cracks of stress. "Your Majesty, we are under attack. Multiple boarding pods have breached the hull. It's the Karathi, a rogue clan seeking revenge for their expulsion from the Coalition." The view shifted to show the exterior of the flagship. Dozens of angular pods were latching onto the hull like metallic parasites. Explosions blossomed where they made contact, burning through armor plating that was supposed to be impenetrable. "How many?" the Queen demanded. "At least 200 warriors, Your Majesty. They're cutting through our defensive positions. Their target appears to be the throne chamber." Commander Yalker was already moving, shouting orders to the royal guards. Blast doors began to seal throughout the ship, compartmentalizing the vessel to slow the attackers. But one fact became immediately clear. The human delegation was trapped in the throne chamber section, cut off from their own ship by the emergency lockdown. Admiral Hyam-woo's voice crackled over G1's communicator. "Ambassador, our fleet is moving to assist, but we're 10 minutes out. Can you reach your shuttle?" G1 looked at the sealed blast door ahead of them. "Negative, Admiral. We're locked in with the Queen." Tamin stepped forward, his hand moving to the weapon at his side. "Ma'am, request permission to assist in the defense." Queen Niraval heard him and almost laughed. Almost. But the situation was too dire. "You have 5 security officers, human. The Karathi are the most feared warriors in the galaxy. But yes, you may try. Everyone must fight now." Through the monitors, they watched the enemy coming. Massive insectoid creatures with natural armor like black metal plates. They tore through Velthara guards with frightening ease, their mandibles crushing armor and bone alike. The Queen's skin had turned gray, the color of fear. She had doubted the human strength. Now, they would all see if that doubt was justified, in the worst possible way. The throne chamber shook as another explosion rocked the ship. Dust fell from the high ceiling, something that should never happen on a vessel as advanced as the Eternal Crown. Queen Miraval gripped the arm of her throne, her crystalline skin flickering between gray and deep red. Fear and anger fought for dominance in her ancient heart. On the holographic display surrounding them, the security feeds showed chaos. The Korathi raiders moved through the ship like a plague, their massive forms filling the corridors. Each one stood nearly 9 feet tall, covered in black, chitinous armor that was part of their bodies. Their mandibles clicked and clacked as they communicated in their harsh language, a sound that sent shivers through anyone who heard it. Commander Yalker watched the feeds with growing horror. Section 7 has fallen. Section 8 is being overrun. They're moving faster than we predicted. How is this possible? The Queen demanded. The Royal Guard are elite warriors. They should be holding them back. The Korathi are berserkers, Your Majesty. They feel no fear and almost no pain. Our guards are trained for ceremonial combat and one-on-one duels. This is a swarm attack. They're overwhelming our positions through sheer brutality. On one screen, a group of 6 royal guards attempted to hold a junction point. They fought with elegant precision, their energy spears crackling as they struck at the approaching enemy. For a moment, it seemed they might succeed. Then the Korathi hit them like an avalanche. 12 of the insectoid warriors crashed into the defensive line, accepting wounds to deliver killing blows. Within seconds, all 6 guards were down. Ambassador G1 watched the carnage with a calm expression that impressed even the Queen. The human woman turned to her security team. Taemin, assessment? Taemin had been studying the tactical displays with intense focus. They're using a 3-pronged attack pattern, trying to reach this position from multiple directions simultaneously. Current rate of advance puts them at our location in approximately 8 minutes. The Velthar guards are fighting as individuals. The Korathi are fighting as a coordinated force. Can we help? G1 asked. Maybe, Taemin replied. He looked at Queen Niraval. Your Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to take my team and establish a defensive position at Corridor Junction Beta 7. It's the narrowest choke point between here and the main attack force. The Queen's skin flickered orange briefly. Amusement, even now. You have 5 people, human. The Korathi have killed 30 of my best warriors already. What makes you think you can succeed where they failed? Because we don't fight like your warriors do, Your Majesty. We fight like humans. Something in his tone made the Queen pause. There was no bravado there, no false courage. Just quiet certainty. Very well. Commander Yalker, provide them with whatever equipment they need. Taemin turned to his team. They were already moving before he spoke. Corporal Dae-yoon checked her rifle, her movements quick and efficient. Private Jae-soon pulled extra ammunition from a storage locker that Yalker had opened for them. Private Sun-hee was examining the corridor layouts on her tactical pad. Medic Kyung-ho secured his medical kit while simultaneously loading his sidearm. Standard corridor defense, Taemin said simply. Jae-soon, you're on right flank. Da-yoon, left flank. Sun-hee, elevated position if you can find one. Kyung-ho, center rear, watch our backs and be ready for casualties. I'll take point center. They moved out, leaving the throne chamber behind. Queen Niraval watched them go on the security feeds. 5 small humans in black uniforms, carrying weapons that looked primitive compared to Velthara energy weapons. They ran through the corridors with purpose, reaching Junction Beta 7 with 3 minutes to spare. What happened next would be studied in military academies across the galaxy for generations to come. Taemin's team transformed the corridor junction in less than 2 minutes. They used cargo containers to create a funnel that would force attackers into a narrow kill zone. Sun-hee found a maintenance alcove 8 feet up that gave her a perfect firing position. The team spread out in a formation that looked random, but was actually carefully calculated. Each person could cover 2 others. There were no blind spots. "Contact in 60 seconds, Dayun reported, her voice steady. Through the security cameras, the Queen and her advisors watched. Commander Yalker shook his head. "They're going to die. Bravely, perhaps, but they're going to die." The Karathi came like a dark wave. 12 of them charged around the corner, their mandibles wide and ready. They had torn through every defense they'd encountered so far. They expected this to be the same dot. It was not the same. The first Karathi to enter the kill zone took 3 rounds to the head and dropped instantly. The second fell a heartbeat later. The third made it another step before Sun He shot from above took it in the weak point, where its head met its armored body. The attackers didn't slow down. They couldn't. Their biology and culture demanded they press forward. But the corridor had become a death trap. The cargo containers forced them into a space only 2 could traverse at a time. The human team's crossfire meant every attacker faced fire from 3 directions simultaneously. Tay-Min stood in the center, his rifle barking in controlled bursts. 2 shots. Shift target, 2 shots. He moved with mechanical precision, never wasting ammunition. When one Karathi got close enough to swing at him, he didn't panic. He simply ducked under the massive arm and shot it in the unarmored joint of its leg, dropping it to where Dayan finished it. The Queen watched in stunned silence. She had never seen anything like this. The Valthara fought with honor, with individual prowess. These humans fought like a machine, each part working in perfect harmony with the others. When Jae-sung's weapon clicked empty, he dropped behind cover seamlessly while Kyung-ho moved forward to fill the gap. Not missing a beat, 90 seconds after the attack began, 12 Karathi lay dead in the corridor. The human team had not taken a single casualty. Not one. Commander Yalka's skin had turned pale white, the color of shock. "That's impossible. The Karathi are the finest warriors in this sector." "Not anymore," G1 said quietly from beside the Queen. The security feeds showed the Karathi leadership pausing, reassessing. They had expected to sweep through this corridor like all the others. Instead, they had lost a dozen warriors in less time than it took to breathe. Through the ship's communication systems, they could hear the Karathi war chief Drakethur bellowing in rage. "Second wave incoming," Taemin reported. 20 hostiles this time? The Queen leaned forward on her throne. "They're sending more. Can your people hold?" G1 didn't answer immediately. She was watching Taemin on the screen, seeing him calmly reload his weapon and adjust his position. "I believe they can, Your Majesty. Humans are very good at holding the line when it matters." The second wave hit harder. 20 Karathi warriors, including some of War Chief Drakethur's personal guard. These were veterans of 100 battles, wearing additional armor plates they had earned through combat. They came with a battle plan, trying to overwhelm the position through coordinated rushes. The humans adapted instantly. Taemin grabbed a fallen Karathi weapon and used it to create a makeshift barricade. Dayun switched to grenades they had taken from the Velthara armory, using them to disrupt the enemy formation before they could organize. Sun He picked off any Karathi that tried to use the walls for cover. This fight lasted longer. 3 minutes of intense combat that left the corridor filled with bodies and the smell of burning metal. Private Jae-sung took a hit from a piece of shrapnel, his left arm hanging useless. He switched his rifle to his right hand and kept fighting. Medic Kyung-ho rushed to him during a brief lull, applying a quick bandage while simultaneously covering their flank with his sidearm. When the second wave fell, the humans remained standing. Wounded, yes. But standing. Queen Niraval's skin had turned a color her advisors had never seen before. Bright gold, the color of revelation. She was beginning to understand something fundamental about humanity, something she had missed in all her research and all her centuries of experience. War Chief. Drake's voice boomed through the ship's communications again. He was beyond rage now, beyond tactics. He was offended, humiliated. All warriors, converge on Junction Beta 7. Kill everything that moves. On the security feeds, they could see it happening. 40 Korethi warriors abandoning their other positions and rushing toward the human team's location. It was every remaining attacker on the ship. They need to fall back, Commander Yalker said urgently. They've done well, but 40 Korethi will overwhelm them. Taemin must have heard him through the communication link. His response was simple and calm. Negative. We hold here. The third wave was coming, and this time, there would be no mercy. The sound of approaching Korathi warriors echoed through the metal corridors of the Eternal Crown. It was a sound like thunder, like an avalanche, like the end of the world. 40 sets of armored feet pounding against the deck plates. 40 pairs of mandibles clicking in anticipation of violence. War Chief Drake himself led this final assault. His massive form larger than any of his warriors. His armor decorated with the skulls of enemies he had personally killed in the throne chamber. Queen Miraval stood rigid before her monitors. Every advisor, every guard, every being present watched the 5 humans at Junction Beta 7 prepare for what seemed like certain death. The Queen's skin shifted rapidly through colors she couldn't control. Gold, orange, red, gray, all mixing together in patterns that betrayed her emotional chaos. Ambassador G1 stood beside her, hands clasped behind her back in a posture of military attention. She looked calm, but the Queen noticed the human woman's jaw was clenched tight enough to show the muscles working beneath her skin. Ambassador, the Queen said quietly, your people have proven themselves brave beyond question. But this is suicide. Order them to fall back. We can seal the throne chamber and wait for reinforcements. G1 didn't look away from the screen. With respect, Your Majesty, my people don't abandon their posts. And they certainly don't abandon those under their protection. They'll hold that line or die trying. Then they will die. Maybe, G1 acknowledged. But they'll make it count. At Junction Beta 7, Taemin was running final checks with his team. Jae Sung's left arm was bandaged and useless, but he had wedged his rifle against a cargo container and could still fire accurately. Kyung-ho had distributed the last of their medical supplies, which wouldn't matter much if the 40 incoming hostiles reached their position. Daeun and Sunhee had taken up positions that would give them maximum coverage of the kill zone. Listen up, Taemin said, his voice cutting through the approaching thunder. This is going to get messy. Watch your spacing, watch your fire discipline, and remember your training. We've faced worse odds before. Daeun glanced at him with a slight smile. When did we face worse odds than this, sir? I'm lying to make you feel better. Is it working? Not really, sir. Then, just shoot straight, and we'll figure it out. The casual exchange would have seemed insane to anyone watching, but Queen Niraval was beginning to understand it. These humans used humor to manage fear, to maintain cohesion under stress. It was so different from how her people or any species she knew prepared for battle. The Valthara meditated. The Drovan worked themselves into rage. The Korathi simply embraced their biology and charged. But humans joked, they smiled. They connected with each other even at the edge of death. The first Korathi rounded the corner at full sprint. Then the second. Then 10 more. Then all 40 came at once. A black tide of armor, and rage that filled the corridor from wall to wall. Taemin's team opened fire. The kill zone erupted with controlled chaos. Every bullet had a purpose. Every shot was aimed at weak points the humans had identified in earlier engagements. The cargo containers that forced the Korathi into a funnel were now supplemented by the bodies of their own dead, creating an even narrower passage. The humans' weapons fired in a rhythm that sounded almost musical, each member of the team timing their shots to create continuous suppressing fire. But there were too many attackers. They climbed over their fallen comrades. They used their dead as shields. They pressed forward with a determination that matched the humans' own. War Chief Drakethur's voice boomed above the gunfire, demanding his warriors advance, demanding they kill these small, soft creatures who dared stand against the might of the KOR, single quotes, a THI.Sun-he. From her elevated position, threw her last grenade into the mass of attackers. The explosion sent 3 Karathi tumbling backward, but the others barely paused. She switched to her rifle and kept firing, picking her targets with sniper precision, even as the enemy closed the distance. Dayun's rifle overheated. She dropped it without hesitation and drew her sight on, continuing to fire without missing a beat. Beside her, Jae-sung's one-armed stance was holding, but barely. Kyung-ho had stopped pretending to be just a medic and was fully engaged in combat. His shots carefully placed to support the others. Tae-Dashman stood at the center of the formation, a calm point in a storm of violence. He moved with efficiency that bordered on supernatural, switching between targets with instant decisions. When one Karathi broke through the initial line, he stepped forward to meet it rather than retreating. The creature swung its massive arm at his head, fast enough to decapitate him. He ducked under it, shot it twice in the leg joint, and when it fell to one knee, finished it with a shot to the head. The queen watched this display with growing amazement. "They're not just surviving," she whispered. "They're winning." Commander Yalker couldn't deny it. The body count spoke for itself. 20 Karathi down, 25, 30. The humans were doing what an entire company of royal guards had failed to do. They were stopping the Karathi advance cold, but the cost was mounting. Dayun took a glancing blow from a piece of flying debris, leaving a gash across her forehead that bled into her eyes. She wiped it away and kept fighting. Sunhee's position was compromised when a Karathi climbed the wall toward her. She shot it 4 times before it fell, but now she had to relocate. Losing her advantageous height. And then the explosion happened. One of the dying Karathi triggered an explosive device, either intentionally or by accident. The blast tore through part of the corridor ceiling, bringing down metal beams and support structures. The humans scattered, avoiding the worst of it through reflexes and luck. But when the dust settled, the corridor was divided by a wall of debris. Tae-Dashman was on one side. His team and the route to the throne chamber were on the other, and between Taemin and his team were 10 Karathi warriors, including War Chief Drakethur himself. Through the communication link, Dayun's voice came urgent and strained. "Sir, fall back to our position. We can cover you." But Taemin could see what his team couldn't. Behind the remaining Karathi, more debris was unstable. If he fell back, if he let these warriors past him, the whole corridor might collapse, burying his team and possibly even reaching the throne chamber. He made his decision in the space between heartbeats. "Negative," he said calmly. "Hold your position and cover the queen. I'll handle this side." "Sir, there are 10 of them." "I can count, Corporal." "Now follow your orders." On the other side of the debris wall, Dayun wanted to argue, wanted to refuse, wanted to tear through the barrier to reach him. But she was a soldier, and she understood duty. "Yes, sir," she said, her voice breaking slightly. Taemin checked his ammunition. 1 magazine left in his rifle. 6 rounds in his sidearm. 3 combat knives still strapped to his leg. Against 10 Karathi warriors and their war chief, the queen's voice came through his earpiece. "Human warrior, retreat. You have done enough. You have proven your courage. No one will think less of you for withdrawing now." Taemin's response was simple. "Your Majesty, humans don't retreat when others are depending on us. We hold the line." War Chief Drakethar stepped forward from his remaining warriors. The massive insectoid creature's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter. "Brave words, soft thing. You have killed many of my clan. You have earned an honorable death. I will make it quick." Tamin didn't respond. He simply raised his rifle and fired. The shot took Drakethar in the shoulder, penetrating the joint where armor plates met. The war chief roared in pain and rage. "You dare? I offered you honor, and you spit on it. Very well. We will tear you apart slowly." The remaining Karathi spread out, surrounding Tamin's position. They moved with the confidence of predators who have cornered their prey. 10 against 1. In their minds, it was already over. They didn't understand humans. They didn't understand that humanity had spent millions of years as prey animals, learning every trick of survival. They didn't understand that being surrounded just meant you could shoot in any direction. They didn't understand that a cornered human was the most dangerous kind. Tamin moved first, surprising them. He didn't try to defend his position. Instead, he attacked, rushing toward the closest Karathi with speed that caught it off guard. He slid under its reaching arms, fired 3 shots into its unarmored underside, and kept moving before the creature even finished falling. What followed was 18 minutes of combat that would be analyzed, studied, and taught in military schools for generations. 1 human against 10 Karathi warriors. 1 small, soft creature against the galaxy's most feared berserkers, and a human refused to lose. The corridor had become a maze of shadows and debris. Emergency lighting cast everything in shades of red and orange, making the black armor of the Karathi blend with the darkness. But Tamin didn't need perfect visibility. He had something better. He had training, experience, and the accumulated wisdom of millions of years of human survival instinct. The second Karathi fell when Tamin used the environment against it. He fired at an unstable support beam above the creature, bringing down a section of ceiling that crushed it flat. 2 down, 9 to go, including War Chief Drakethar dot in the throne chamber. Every being present stood transfixed by the security feeds. Queen Miraval had moved so close to one monitor that her crystalline face was almost touching it. She watched this lone human warrior dance between death and survival with a grace that shouldn't be possible for a creature so physically limited. "He's using everything as a weapon," Commander Yalkar observed with something approaching awe in his voice. The debris, the lighting, the corridor itself. "I've never seen anyone fight like this." "Because your people fight with honor," Ambassador G1 said quietly. "My people fight to win. There's a difference." On the other side of the debris wall, Dayun and the rest of the human team had secured the throne chamber approach, but their hearts were with their officer. They could hear the sounds of combat through the barrier, but they couldn't see what was happening. They could only listen and hope. Tamin's rifle clicked empty. He dropped it without hesitation and drew his sidearm. The third Karathi charged him from behind, thinking it had caught him vulnerable. Tamin spun and fired all 6 rounds in rapid succession, each one finding the weak points in the creature's armor. It crashed to the deck, twitched once, and died. 6 rounds gone. No more ammunition except what he could scavenge from the Karathi themselves, and their weapons were too large for human hands to use effectively. He had his combat knife in his bare hands. Against 7 remaining enemies, the Karathi began to understand they were not hunting prey. They were fighting a predator. War Chief Drakethar ordered his warriors to attack as a group, no more single combat. 4 of them rushed Tamin simultaneously from different angles. It should have been impossible for him to survive. He shouldn't have been fast enough, strong enough, or skilled enough, but he was human enough. Tamin dove forward, rolling under the first attacker's swing. As he came up, his knife found the soft spot behind a Karathi's knee. The creature screamed and fell. He used its falling body as a shield against another attacker's strike. then vaulted over it to gain distance. One of the Karathi managed to land a blow, its armored fist catching Taemin in the ribs. The human felt something crack, pain exploding through his side. Any other species would have collapsed from that hit. Taemin grunted and kept moving. This was the difference, though the queen didn't fully understand it yet. Humans had evolved as endurance hunters. They could keep going when other species fell. They could function through injuries that would incapacitate others. Their pain tolerance wasn't about being tougher. It was about being too stubborn to quit. The fourth Karathi fell when Taemin managed to kick its knee backward, hyperextending the joint. As it dropped, he grabbed a piece of jagged metal from the debris and drove it through the gap in its neck armor. 5 down, 6 to go, but the cost was mounting. Blood ran down Taemin's face from a cut above his eye. His ribs screamed with every breath. His left hand was swelling, possibly broken from blocking a strike. He was operating on adrenaline and willpower now, his body pushing past limits that should have stopped him minutes ago. He should be dead, Commander Yalker whispered. By any logical assessment, he should have fallen already. Queen Miraval's skin had turned a brilliant gold, brighter than anyone had ever seen it. He's not fighting by logic, Commander. He's fighting by determination. Look at his eyes. On the monitor, even through the blood and exhaustion, Taemin's eyes remained focused. There was no panic there, no surrender. Only calm resolve and a determination that burned like a star. The fifth Karathi made a mistake. It tried to grab Taemin, to use its superior strength to crush him. Taemin let it grab him, then used his combat knife to systematically destroy the joints in the creature's arms while it held him. When it released him in pain, he drove the knife up through its jaw into what passed for a brain. 6 down, 5 to go. War Chief Drakethor watched his warriors fall one by one and felt something he had not experienced in decades: doubt. This tiny creature, this soft human, was destroying his finest warriors. It was impossible. It defied everything he knew about combat, about strength, about the natural order of things. Enough! He roared. Warriors, fall back! I will kill this human myself. The remaining 4 Karathi retreated, forming a circle around their war chief and the human. Taemin used the moment to catch his breath, though each inhalation sent fire through his damaged ribs. He was running on empty now, his body held together by willpower and whatever reserves humans called upon in their darkest moments. War Chief Drakethor stepped forward. He was enormous, standing merely 10 feet tall, his armor decorated with the trophies of 1,000 battles. He had personally killed champions from a dozen species. He had never been defeated in single combat. You have fought well, human. Better than any soft species should be able to fight. But it ends now. I am War Chief Drakethor, and I have never been beaten. Taemin wiped blood from his eyes with his good hand. When he spoke, his voice was steady despite the pain and exhaustion. I'm Security Officer Taemin of Earth. I'm not done yet. The war chief charged. At his size and speed, he covered the distance between them in 2 massive strides. His armored fist swung down with enough force to shatter bones, to crush a human body into paste. Taemin wasn't there. He had already moved, his injured body still somehow finding the speed to dodge. The war chief's fist hit the deck plates, leaving a dent in the metal. Taemin was beside him now, his knife driving toward a gap in the armor. But Drakethor was war chief for a reason. He was faster than his size suggested, smarter than his berserker reputation implied. He caught Taemin's knife hand with his offhand, squeezing until the human's bones ground together. Taemin felt his wrist break, felt the knife fall from nerveless fingers. Drakethor lifted him off the ground, mandibles clicking in triumph. You see, human? You fought well, but biology cannot be denied. I am stronger. I am larger. I am... Tamin's head snapped forward, his forehead connecting with the war chief's face with every ounce of strength he had left. The headbutt was a human specialty, something no other species would even attempt. Drakethur's mandibles cracked, and he dropped the human in surprise, and pain. Tamin hit the deck hard, his body screaming in protest. He grabbed his knife with his good hand and rolled toward the war chief's legs. He didn't try to stand. He didn't try to fight with honor or style. He simply drove his knife into the back of Drakethur's knee, severing the tendons. The war chief crashed down suddenly at eye level with the human he had underestimated. Tamin pulled himself forward with his good arm, using muscles that should have given out long ago. He looked into the war chief's eyes, saw the recognition there, the understanding. "You are strong," Tamin said, breathing hard. "You are large, but I'm human, and we don't quit." His final strike found the gap between the war chief's helmet and chest plate. War Chief Drakethur, undefeated in 100 battles, fell to the deck and moved no more. The 4 remaining Karathi stared at their fallen leader. They stared at the human who had somehow, impossibly, defeated him. And for the first time in their warrior culture's history, they felt something that made them pause. Not fear exactly, but uncertainty. If this single human could do this, what else were humans capable of? Before they could decide whether to attack or flee, the sound of heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor. Admiral Hyunwoo's reinforcements had arrived, cutting through the ship to reach the battle site. The remaining Karathi, leaderless and demoralized, surrendered without a fight. Tamin collapsed onto his back, staring at the damaged ceiling above him. He had held the line. His team was safe. The Queen was protected. He allowed himself to close his eyes and let the darkness take him, knowing he had done his duty. 7 Karathi warriors and 1 war chief lay dead around him. 1 human officer had held a corridor that an army should have overrun. In the throne chamber, Queen Niraval stood in silence, her skin cycling through colors that had no name in her language. She had doubted humanity. She had judged them weak, soft, unworthy. She would never make that mistake again. Tamin woke slowly, pulled from darkness by the gentle hum of medical equipment and the soft glow of lights above him. For a moment, he didn't know where he was. Then memory returned in fragments. The corridor, the Karathi, War Chief Drakethur's eyes as the life left him. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it as pain flared through his body. "Easy, officer. Your body needs time to heal." The voice was not human. Tamin turned his head carefully and found himself looking at Queen Niraval. She sat beside his medical bed in a simple chair, her crystalline form reflecting the soft light of the medical bay. Her skin showed a warm amber color that he had not seen before. "Your Majesty," he said, his voice rough. He tried to stand to show proper respect. "Stay down," the Queen said gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. The touch was surprisingly warm. "You have earned the right to remain comfortable in my presence." Tamin settled back onto the bed, confusion evident on his face. "Where is my team?" "Safe, all of them. Corporal Dayun has 3 stitches above her eye and won't stop complaining that you got all the glory. Private Jae-sung's arm is healing well. Private Sunhee and Medic Kyung-ho are uninjured beyond minor bruises. Ambassador Ji-won has been coordinating with your Admiral Hyunwoo." Relief washed over Tamin's features. "Good, that's good. You have been unconscious for 3 days," the Queen continued. "My finest medical team has been attending to your injuries. 2 broken ribs, a fractured wrist, severe bruising across 40% of your body, a concussion, and various cuts and abrasions. The doctors tell me that any other species they know would have died from these injuries during combat. They asked me how you continued to fight." Tamin managed a weak smile. "I had people depending on me, Your Majesty. That's usually enough." The Queen's skin flickered through several colors before settling back to amber. I owe you an apology, Officer Temin. When your species came to me seeking membership in the Galactic Coalition, I judged you weak. I looked at your physical form, your technology, your appearance, and I decided humanity was too fragile for the galaxy. You weren't entirely wrong, Temin said. We are fragile compared to most species. We don't have armor plating or natural weapons. We're not the strongest or the fastest. Then how? The Queen asked, leaning forward. How did you do what you did? I watched you fight 7 Karathi warriors and their war chief alone. I watched you continue fighting with broken bones and severe injuries. I watched you refuse to surrender even when logic said you should. How is this possible? Temin was quiet for a moment, thinking about how to explain something so fundamental to human nature that most humans never questioned it. Your Majesty, what do you know about Earth's history? Very little beyond what your diplomatic files contained. Earth is not a gentle world. For millions of years, my species was prey. We were hunted by animals stronger, faster, and better armed than us. We shouldn't have survived. By all logic, we should have gone extinct. But you didn't. No, we didn't. Because we learned to do what other species couldn't. We learned to run for days without stopping, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. We learned to adapt to any environment, from frozen tundra to burning deserts. We learned to work together, to coordinate, to turn our individual weakness into collective strength. Most importantly, we learned to never give up. Ever. The Queen listened intently, her skin shifting to a deep blue, the color of intense focus among her people. Tay Dashman continued. When you face a predator and you can't outrun it, you can't outfight it, you can't hide from it. You only have one option. You refuse to die. You keep going. You adapt. You use everything around you as a weapon. You fight with broken bones because the alternative is worse. That's humanity in a sentence. We don't quit. This is your evolutionary advantage, the Queen said slowly, understanding dawning. Not strength or speed or natural weapons, but endurance, adaptability, determination, and cooperation, Temin added. Did you notice how my team fought? We don't have individual glory in human military culture. We have unit cohesion. Every person covering every other person. No heroes, just soldiers doing their jobs together. The Queen stood and walked to the window of the medical bay. Outside, stars stretched into infinity. She had ruled for 2 centuries, had seen countless species, had considered herself wise in the ways of the galaxy. But this human, lying wounded in a medical bed, had taught her something profound. I have made arrangements, she said, turning back to face him. In 2 days, there will be an emergency session of the Galactic Coalition Council. I will personally sponsor humanity's full membership. Not as observers, but as full partners with all rights and responsibilities. Temin's eyes widened. Your Majesty, that's very generous, but it is not generous. It is necessary and right. Your species proved themselves in the most meaningful way possible, through action, through sacrifice, through courage. The story of the 5 humans who held Corridor Junction Beta 7 against a Karathi war party is already spreading through Coalition space. Do you know what other species are calling you? No, Your Majesty. The unbreakable. The species that does not yield. There are already requests from a dozen worlds asking for human military advisors to teach them your tactics, your coordination, your refusal to surrender. The Queen's skin shifted to gold again. You asked me earlier if I was wrong about humanity being fragile. I was wrong, but not in the way you think. You are fragile. Your bodies break easily. But your spirits, your determination, that is the strongest thing I have encountered in 2 centuries of rule. Over the next 2 days, Taemin recovered enough to leave the medical bay. He found his team in quarters that the Queen had assigned to them. They greeted him with relief and typical human humor that helped ease the tension of what they had survived together. Dayun saluted him with a grin. "Sir, next time you decide to fight an entire army alone, maybe give us a heads up so we can watch." "Next time, you're taking the solo run," Taemin replied. "I'm getting too old for this." "You're 32, sir," Jae-soon pointed out. "And I feel 92 after that fight." Ambassador G1 arrived shortly after, her expression professional, but her eyes showing pride. "Officer Taemin, the Queen has requested your presence at the Coalition Council meeting. All of you, actually. You're going to be somewhat famous after this." The emergency session of the Galactic Coalition took place aboard Coalition Station 7, the massive diplomatic hub where hundreds of species maintained embassies. The council chamber was enormous, with seating for representatives from 300 star systems. As the human delegation entered, every being present stood. It was an honor normally reserved for heads of state. Queen Neraval addressed the assembly, her voice carrying through the chamber with crystal clarity. "Fellow members of the Galactic Coalition, I stand before you today to correct a grave error in judgment. 3 days ago, I denied humanity full membership in our coalition. I believed them too weak, too fragile, too unprepared for the challenges we face." She paused, her skin shifting through colors that the entire assembly could see. "I was wrong. What I witnessed 3 days ago changed my understanding not just of humanity, but of strength itself. When my flagship was attacked by Karathi raiders, when my finest guards fell, when all seemed lost, 5 humans held a corridor that should have been impossible to defend. One human officer, Security Officer Taemin, fought 7 Karathi warriors and War Chief Drakthar himself in single combat while wounded and exhausted. He won." Murmurs ran through the assembly. The Karathi were known across the galaxy. War Chief Drakethar's name carried weight in every military circle. "I learned that true strength is not about natural armor or enhanced physical capabilities," the Queen continued. "True strength is the refusal to surrender when surrender would be easier. True strength is fighting with broken bones to protect others. True strength is 5 individuals working as one perfect unit against impossible odds. Humanity possesses these qualities in abundance." She turned to face the human delegation directly. Ambassador G1, Officer Taemin, Corporal Daeyoon, Private Jae-sung, Private Sun-hee, Medic King-ho, I formally apologize for my earlier judgment. I ask this council to immediately grant full membership to humanity, with my complete sponsorship and endorsement. The vote was unanimous. 300 star systems, one voice. Humanity was now a full member of the Galactic Coalition. After the ceremony, Queen Neraval requested a private audience with the human delegation. In a quiet chamber away from the diplomatic crowds, she presented each of the 5 security officers with a crystal pendant. "This is the Star of Elthara," she explained. "It is the highest honor my empire can bestow. In 200 years of rule, I have given it to only 3 individuals before now. You have earned it through blood and courage." Taemin accepted his with a bow. "Your Majesty, we were just doing our duty." "I know," the Queen said warmly. "That makes it more impressive, not less. You did not seek glory or recognition. You simply did what needed to be done. That is the mark of true warriors." As the ceremony concluded, the Queen asked to speak with Ambassador Gi-won privately. They stood by the same window overlooking the stars. "Ambassador, I have ruled for 200 years. I have seen empires rise and fall.